When the Bunyala political history is written, one Raphael Wanjala will top the chart as a member of parliament who served for 2 terms from 1998 to 2007, stayed out for subsequent 2 terms and bounced back to capture his seat. The current Budalang'I MP, known for his charming and comic personality, surprised many when he defeated his long-term political rival Ababu Namwamba among other aspirants by garnering over 13,000 votes. The journey to his comeback all started at Port Victoria Market when the then Nzoia Sugar director shocked many by defecting from the ruling party Jubilee to opposition outfit Orange Democratic Movement ODM.
Ukiitwa mahali huko tuna option mbili, kwamba lazima ukiitwa uende. Ukifika huko unaweza kubali ile umeambiwa ama ukataa ile umeambiwa. Sasa hiyo ndio mtego mmeniwekea. Na mimi vile ninaelewa hata Biblia inasema na sauti ya wengi ni sauti ya Mungu. Sauti ya wengi ni sauti ya Mungu. Mimi Raphael Wanjala sijipigii kura. Mimi hupigiwa kura. Naenda kukutana na Mheshimiwa former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Na hata mapendekezo mmenipatia naenda kumpatia. Na nimwambie ya kwamba mimi nikienda kwa ODM na vile mmesema niende, lazima akuwe na imani na mimi, kwa sababu mimi si mtu ya kununuliwa. Mimi pia huambia kila mara ya kwamba always ukipewa vitu kugawa unaanza moja. Unaanza namna gani? Sasa si hapa ni karibu. Si hapa ni karibu. Si Bondo imeshikana na Budalang'I. Kwani mimi ni nani kusema hapana na nyinyi mmesema?
Few weeks later, the legislator organized a Meet the People tour in the constituency to affirm to the electorates his newfound relationship with the NASA leader Raila Amolo Odinga, as well as steering the NASA agenda.
Huyu ni nani? Ameshika nani? Anashika nani? Raphael si ndio huyo tena, si ndio huyo? Na anashika yeye akisema anapatia wanya.
When time came for ODM party nominations, suspicion and mistrust was building up. All the candidates in unison expressed their dissatisfaction in the preparation process for pre-party polls during a press conference in Busia town.
Tumeelewana na tumefikiana kwa kauli moja kwamba watakayesimamia uchaguzi ni sisi tunachagua, sio mgombea kiti mmoja. Na iwapo hatarekebisha, tumeelewana kwa kauli moja, hakutakuwa na uchaguzi Budalang'I, watupe siku nyingine mpaka tutatue maneno ya watakayesimamia uchaguzi Budalang'I.
Unfortunately, when we provided the list, they hesitantly received them, and we are doubting our panel here. We have questions on their integrity in this office, and they continue like that, we are going to come out because of their integrity issues. Because this is an office, a public office that somebody's integrity should not be in question. But we feel we are frustrated by this office. It's not handling us the way it is supposed to handle leaders. And they must know that this, whatever they are doing, deals with the politics. And politicians are capable of doing anything. And the politicians themselves may not do it, but their supporters, because election is a very emotive thing that requires carefully handling it. So we need, when we come here like today, we have wasted the whole day. They need to deal with our issues, finish with us, and we go away. Therefore, I want to caution them, especially the chairman, that he must know that he is here because of us, and he must diligently handle our issues as fast as possible, and he must stop dictating to us on anything. We must talk and agree the way forward always when the issues arises, because in politics issues arises all the time.
What I know is that we have been presented with a list which has been disputed, and for equity and parity of treatment and to have harmony in the exercise, we have agreed that each of us, we are 5, each of us proposes names of 4 presiding officers and 8 polling clerks, which we have all done. But again, there was a delay in receiving the list. They instructed us to do that. We went out and we prepared and we have submitted. But the submission has taken unduly long to be accepted.
Kitu cha maana ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba our elections board ya county lazima itekeleze yale tumesikizana na. Tumesikizana kwa sababu sisi wenyewe ndio wagombezaji. Na kama tumeshasikizana kama wagombezaji, sioni kama kuna mtu yeyote anaweza kataa neno letu. Na hata sasa yangu ni kuhimiza tu ya kwamba hata chair lady wa Pareno angalie ile barua yetu, hakikisha ya kwamba ametekeleza yale malilio yetu, alafu tuendelee na elections.
However, the allegations were dismissed by ODM County Election Boss in a statement later on.
Tuko tayari kufanya uchaguzi ambayo itafanyika kesho tarehe 8, na kuna uvumi kwamba uchaguzi umeahirisha. Sio hivyo, uchaguzi unaendelea na kila kitu iko tayari. Tumesha appoint all officials who will be managing the elections, starting from the returning officers, presiding officers and clerks.
I want to assure all aspirants that we are well prepared to handle the elections, and the elections are going to be free and fair. We have all the staff in position, and we are very ready to handle the elections in Busia County.
As the campaigns intensified after nomination, the unexpected happened in Budalang'I. The Sigiri Bridge linking Bunyala North and Bunyala southwards over River Nzoia collapsed. As an opposition candidate, he visited the site and made a statement on the same.
Nasikitika sana kwa sababu daraja kama hii inafanywa na engineers. Na hii daraja haijaanza kujengwa leo. Hii daraja nikiwa mbunge tulianza kwanza kuchimba. Tukachimba pande hii, tukafikia mahali mawe iko. Tukachimba pande huko ya ng'ambo, tukapata hakuna mawe, tukasema itajengwa suspended bridge. Now katikati hapo kwa river inafaa tukue na pila. Naona hakuna pila hapo katikati. Ukiangalia hapa nyuma mahali pila ya mwisho vile imekatika, unaona zile waya zimewekwa ni waya duni, ni kidogo kuliko zile tuliweka kwa design. Ukiangalia vile inaenda, unaangalia hizi waya, unaona hizi waya si zile nafaa zikuwe hapa. Sasa maana yake corruption ndio inaangusha hii daraja. Uhuru! 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 Ruto! Ruto! Jubilee! Jubilee!
Further, Honorable Wanjala, through his humorous style of speech, did not disappoint his party when he remained steadfast in preaching the 6-piece voting pattern.
Sasa wewe siku ya kura, ukiamuka asubuhi, ukasalimiwa habari ODM. Unaenda wapi? ODM. Ukifika kwa kituo ODM. Unataka nani? ODM. Ulitoka wapi? ODM. Unataka nani? ODM. MCA ODM. President ODM. Governor ODM. MP ODM, Bulisindu, ODM, Kuwere Mutembi, ODM, Kate Budalang'I, ODM, Kwatire Sibuka, ODM, Kata Igigo, ODM, Sirimba Bwene, ODM, Kwabire Sifugwe, ODM, Kulingire Poti, ODM, Kata Musinyenye, ODM, Kuba kumari kurada. Haya bana kupira kwamba mkono juu. Kamera sasa chukua.
August 8th was the D-Day and the Budalang'I residents woke up early to cast their vote, which saw Mr. Wanjala reclaim the leadership of the constituency with over 13,000 votes. The celebrations were cut short on 3rd of October through an election petition number 3 of 2017 that saw 2 Budalang'I voters protest the outcome of the election.
Wana ushahidi wa kutosha na ushahidi ambayo itabadilisha matokeo yaliyotokea tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8 mwaka huu. Hawakuridhika kabisa na haswa na mambo jinsi vilivyopangwa na watu wa ABC na pia mbunge mteule Bwana Raphael Wanjala, na mambo mengine yalifanyika pale ni kwamba haikuwa uhuru na sawa kwa kila wagombezi wengine.
On 13th of November, the High Court witnessed drama just before the hearing of the case, prompting Judge Kiare to limit the number of people to attend court sessions.
Please, hapa ni mko mahakamani. Tumesikizana vizuri? Si ni courtroom. Please, we keep quiet. The church is just inside there in the chambers. You are making a lot of noise. Disorder. Please, keep quiet.
Part of the crowd control is that tomorrow will only require those who have seats to be in court. If you have no seat, we are talking of tomorrow. And let's hope we shall have no repeat drama. And the days to follow, we shall only allow those who have seats to sit, so that we do not have people who come with other motives. Because these elections are fought at the ballot boxes, not in courtrooms. Courtrooms, we are only making a decision whether the same was correctly done or not. But when you translate that into drama, we only leave that to Vitimbi and what have you, not in court, please.
Under High Court Judge Kiare Waweru Kiarie, the legal teams then tussled out for justice.
The petitioners applicants have moved this court by way of notice of motion dated 20th November 2017, pursuant to Article 159, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution of Kenya, and Section 81D of the Elections Act and other enabling provisions of the law, with the prayers that 1, that this honorable court be pleased to review its orders of 16th November 2017 to the extent that it permits to be executed its earlier order of 6th November 2017 for scrutiny of votes cast at Budalang'I constituency at specific polling stations. 2, that this honorable court do issue such orders as it deems fit in the circumstances of the case as regards the applicant's prayers for scrutiny of votes cast on 8th August 2017 in Budalang'I constituency, member of National Assembly election. And 3, that the cost of this application be cost in the course. The application was based on 5 grounds as follows. 1, or rather A, that taking of evidence has been concluded. B, that all witnesses for all the parties referred to polling centers as polling stations. C, that the order of 6th November 2017 subsists and that it is mature for execution. D, that since the court is certain of what took place, it should allow scrutiny. And E, that the court should take cognizance of issues raised at specific named polling stations as detailed in the petitioner's pleadings. It will not be a sufficient ground for review that another judge could have taken a different view of the matter, nor can it be a ground for review that the court proceeded on an incorrect exposition of the law and reached an erroneous conclusion of the law. Misconstruing a statute or other provisions of the law cannot be a ground for review. Unquote. In the instant application, the applicants have not drawn the attention of this court to any error or omission on the face of the record in respect of my ruling of 16th November 2017. I therefore agree with the respondents that the applicants have not met the threshold for review. All the parties in response digressed and proceeded as if the issue was whether to allow scrutiny or not. I will deliberately avoid commenting on the submissions that did not specifically address the issue of review. The applicants having failed to establish a basis for review, the application must be dismissed with costs.
My Lord, it has not been contested, and it's the assertion of the petitioners that election is not an event, it's a process. Yes. And having laid such basis that an election is an event and not a process, it's a process and not an event, we urge you to find that each step in the whole process counts. Right from the time when an election is declared, other processes being registration of voters, actual casting of the votes, the tally, and also ending up in the declaration of the results. Each step in an election process counts. Yes.
Yes, I'm just saying, my Lord, if you one looks into the case law in matters of elections, you'd find that this is one of the constituencies where in almost every election there are always election petitions. And my Lord, I've had the privilege to act in quite a number subsequent to elections held at every general election. And my Lords, the grounds again have been similar in nearly all those petitions. My Lords, having said so, the petitioner classified or clustered his grounds in this petition, I think, on 4 broad areas. One was on violence and intimidation. Second, mishandling and destruction of election materials. Thirdly, illegal and alien non-resident voters imported to vote. And there was the grounds dealing with the bribery. But I begin by saying that it is clear, like in all matters coming to the courts for determination, that the burden of proof is always on he who that alleges, and in the totality of this petition, the burden of proof falls squarely on the petitioner. My lords, in the decisions of which you have referred to in the various matters that have come before our courts, including the Supreme Court, the general principle is that that burden of proof may shift if cogent evidence has been placed before the court requiring a rebuttal. That is not to say that the burden of proving the grounds of the petition shifts. The burden of proving the petition is primarily on the petitioner. My Lord, there's a second legal principle that is, my Lord, the other requirement, which is an important component of what the petitioner is required to do, is to establish a nexus between the alleged acts of violence with the first respondent. It is not enough to say that agents or supporters of the first respondent committed acts of violence or bribery. There must be established a nexus. And that nexus is not any nexus, but a nexus that would meet the standards to be applied when determining whether these were the actions of an agent acting on behalf of a principal. So, my Lord, in totality, therefore, we are urging you to dismiss this petition with cause to the first respondent as against the petition.
We urge you to take cognizance of the nature of elections, my Lord. My Lord, elections by their nature are a public enterprise as opposed to private enterprises. My Lord, there are many people beyond the petitioners and the respondents who are stakeholders in the election of member of National Assembly for Budalang'I. So that, my Lord, a grievance by a few people without demonstrating how the rights of the majority have been infringed, my Lord, should not be used to void an election.
On 30th January 2018, the court upheld Honorable Wanjala's victory, which was followed by a series of celebrations across the county.
The legal burden rests on the petitioner, but depending on the effectiveness with which he or she discharges these, the evidential burden keeps shifting. Ultimately, of course, it falls to the court to determine whether a firm and unanswered case has been made, unquote. In their petition, the petitioners alleged that there were, to use their own words, multiple, deliberate, systemic, and well-coordinated instances of violence prior to, during, and after the election of 8th August 2017 at various points across Budalang'I constituency. They contended that this was meant to intimidate, scare, alarm, discourage, dissuade, relocate, and disenfranchise non-supporters of rival candidates to the advantage of Wanjala Raphael Bita Sauti. The petition enumerated the areas that were affected by the violence as follows. A. Omena Beach, Sinyenye, Rukala, Port Victoria, Muhobola, Lunyofu, St. Benedict's Budalang'I High School Constituency Tallying Center, and other polling stations within Budalang'I constituency. In her evidence, Mary Achieng Mola, the first petitioner herein, who testified as PW2, said that she voted at Mudembi Primary School polling station. She said that though in the petition she did not complain, all did not go well at the polling station. During cross-examination, she said she did not complain about this polling station, for whatever she said did not go well was not strong, to use her own words. However, her co-petitioner, and who voted in the same polling station, said there was no hitch at that polling station. His evidence was that he stayed there until the votes were counted and the results announced. She never witnessed any violence anywhere else. Though she enumerated several polling stations where violence was witnessed, she never gave an account as to how she came by the information and did not bother to call any witness to support her contention. This is unproven allegation. I acknowledge that there is a possibility some foreigners voted. However, the petitioners did not demonstrate their numbers, and if they could have significantly affected the results, it was not proved that the first respondent had a hand in their importation. What was made was an unproven allegation. Again, if we assume that the two self-confessed foreigners were indeed foreigners, the second and the third respondents cannot be blamed. All they required at the time of voter registration was a Kenyan national identity card or a passport. These documents are issued by other government agencies. Since the two had Kenyan national identity cards, they did what was expected of them. I'm therefore making an order for thorough and proper interagencies investigations on this issue to be coordinated by the Busia County Commissioner. A report of the outcome to be filed in court within 6 months of this judgment. The petitioners urged the court to make a finding that due to numerous malpractices, the first respondent was not validly elected. These malpractices were listed as follows. A, failing to secure and cause to be secured ballot paper boxes, ballot papers, forms, and other essential election records and documents at the close of polling stations, and while transporting the same to the tallying center, which resulted in ballot boxes and ballot papers being destroyed, and thereby undermining and compromising the verifiability and accountability of the results of the election in Budalang'I. Furthermore, ballot papers were found in the possession of unauthorized persons with neither explanation nor excuse, thereby calling into question the integrity, capacity, and credibility in the conduct of such elections by the first and the second respondents. B, recruiting clerks, presiding officers, and other undesignated officials who were openly biased and or inclined to a specific candidate, namely Wanjala Raphael Sauti. C, allowing voters to take more than one ballot paper and casting multiple votes for one elective post during the elections at non-polling stations. D, illegally allowing unstamped ballot papers to be cast in favor of the first respondent. E, counting and tallying and or allowing the counting and tallying of the spoiled papers in favor of the first respondent. F, declaring results of candidates before the requisite forms were signed by all party agents as procedure demanded, and the petitioner pleaded conspiracy and complicity on the part of the second and third respondents in returning the elections of the first respondent as member of National Assembly for Budalang'I constituency, despite the glaring flaws in the process adopted during and after the elections of 8th August 2017. G, refusing a recount of all ballot papers cast for all candidates to verify the same before the declaration of the results on 9th August 2017 at St. Benedict's Budalang'I High School Tallying Center and at other polling stations across Budalang'I constituency. H, ejecting accredited agents for non-candidates from counting halls of various polling stations in Budalang'I constituency at the conclusion of the elections. And I, condoning and permitting the use of non-public servants and public properties to campaign for candidates for candidate Wanjala Raphael Sauti, contrary to law and regulations. This was in violation of the Constitutional and the Leadership and Integrity Act, unquote. That is what the the petitioners listed as the malpractices. I quoted it the way it was. It was contended that the first respondent was validly elected, for there has been no impeachment on his qualifications of his candidature. It was further argued that he was declared a winner on the strength of numbers he garnered, and which the petitioners have no issue with. Though it appears that there was some commotion at St. Benedict's Budalang'I High School Tallying Center. It was not demonstrated by evidence that this affected the results in respect of Member of Parliament seat for Budalang'I constituency. In the case of Dixon Mwenda Kithinji versus Gatirao Peter Munya and two others, 2013 EKLR, the court stated as follows, and I'll quote, "It is not enough to merely catalogue instances of malpractices and breaches of the Electoral Act without adding up or tallying the number of votes involved or affected and their impact on the overall result of the election against his interests. The reason for tying such malpractices to votes affected thereby is because irregularities affecting minority votes would not upset the election of a candidate with majority of lawful votes. An election cannot be cancelled on the mere speculation of the probable effect of uncertain or unlawful votes procured through alleged malpractices," unquote. In the instant case, the court cannot speculate. None of the issues raised and which I have captured in paragraph 30 above were proved. In my view, they remained mere allegations. From the foregoing analysis of the evidence on record, I find that the election of 8th August 2017 in respect of Budalang'I constituency Member of Parliament was conducted in accordance with the Constitution of Kenya and the electoral law and procedures as provided for under the Elections Act and the Elections, Parliamentary and County Elections Petition Rules 2017. Nothing has been proved to warrant for a declaration that will annul the results declared by the second respondent. The petition is accordingly dismissed. It is trite law that costs usually follow the event. This can only be departed from or qualified under some special compelling circumstances. Rule 30 of the elections, parliamentary and county elections, petitions, rules 2017 provide as follows. 1, the election court may, at the conclusion of a petition, make an order specifying A, the total amount of costs payable, B, the maximum amount of costs payable, C, the person who shall pay the costs under paragraph A or B, and D, the person to whom the costs are paid, D, the person to whom the costs under paragraphs A and B shall be payable. 2, when making an order under sub-rule 1, the election court may A, disallow any prayer for costs which may, in the opinion of the election court, have been caused by vexatious conduct, unfounded allegations, or unfounded objections on the part of either the petitioner or the respondent, and B, impose the burden of payment on the party who may have caused unnecessary expense, whether that party is successful or not, in order to discourage any such expense. In this matter, no reason to depart from this position or qualify the same has been advanced. The petitioners will pay the costs to the respondents as follows. The petitioner will pay each respondent costs not exceeding 3 million Kenya shillings. This will be subject to taxation by the deputy registrar. The sum that was deposited in court shall remain so deposited pending the taxation of costs. Thank you, Council. I'll give you each a copy. I've noted a few typos. I'll do the corrections, and the same will be handed to you immediately in the next 5 minutes or so. Thank you.
Ni ukweli watu walileta tu uongo kotini. Kwa hivyo hakuna kitu ingine ambayo imefanyika nyuma, ni ukweli tu vile imesemekana. Nataka kushukuru watu wote, hasa watu wa Budalang'I kusimama na mimi. Nataka kushukuru gavana wetu, hata ametuma mke kutupatia moral support. Nataka kushukuru viongozi wote wa Budalang'I na kila mtu ambaye amesimama na mimi. Imekuwa kazi ngumu ukiwa na huu mnyama anaitwa petition kufanya kazi. Sasa nataka kuhakikishia watu wa Budalang'I ya kwamba sasa nimefunguliwa mikono. Sasa nataka kuanza kufanya kazi bila kurudi nyuma. Mimi sijakuwa na hard feelings against anybody, kwa sababu mimi mwenyewe Raphael Wanjala sijui nani alinipigia kura na ni nani hakunipigia. Wakati walinipigia niliibuka mshindi na nikajua kila mtu wa Budalang'I alinipigia kura. Kwa hivyo mimi nitawatumikia wote walionipigia kura na wale ambao hawakunipigia kura, mpaka hata babu mwenyewe nitamhudumia akitaka huduma yangu na familia yake yote. Kwanza kipaumbele niliahidi watu wa Budalang'I nikipita kura hivi lazima barabara ile zilikuwa zinawekwa lami zimalizike. Na nataka zimalizike kabla ya mwisho wa mwezi wa pili zote. Nilisema daraja hiyo nitaanza kuijenga nikipita kura, na nimeanza kuijenga, na nataka kuhakikishia nyinyi ya kwamba by the end, mwisho wa mwezi wa pili itakuwa pia imeisha, watu wanapita. Na nilisema nataka kumalizana na mambo ya floods, na vile nawaambia tayari tumesign contract na tayari site inajengwa Muhoboda. Tunataka kujenga dike, na tunataka pia kufanya mambo ya irrigation both sides of our constituency. Our constituency is cut in between by River Nzoia. Na pia tunataka kuangalia barabara ya Ruambwa Mau. Hiyo ndio inatupatia sasa sleepless nights. Hiyo ndio barabara tumebakisha. Hizo ndio vitu tunataka kwanza tukabiliane nazo, na vitu zingine ambazo zitatokea wakati wa kazi. Hasa nataka pia kushughulika na commissioner, county commissioner wa Busia County na governor. Tushughulike, wavuvi wetu wananyanyazwa huko baharini. Lazima tuhakikishe pia wakienda baharini wakuwe safe na wafanye kazi yao.
Nataka kushukuru Mheshimiwa Wanjala kwa kuweza kushinda, na hata mahakama imemtambua, imesema alishinda, na nachukua nafasi hii kusema Wanjala na Mheshimiwa Governor, vile Wanjala amesema Mheshimiwa watafanya kazi pamoja. Mikono yake ilikuwa imefungwa na sasa imefunguliwa.
Yani kiboko ya Ababu na Momo, tuko naye ndani ya gari, anajulikana kama Raphael Sauti Bita Wanjala kabisa, ambaye ameshakisha shinda kesi kabisa, na tunamtarajia pia 2022, si ndio? Zangu tunasema ni kiboko. Yes kabisa, Mheshimiwa Ababu na Mwamba. Yes, na kwa gari pia tumetembea na first lady ambaye ni Judith Mchalama, ambaye pia atakuwa wania yani kiti women representative. Kwa hivyo waweza kufungulia habari ndio kabisa kabisa mambo
ino tuendelee kwa sika tupate audio niposte na kuri mu county kwenya kwa manae kuma kwenda Budalang'I na hula mane bandi mberiyo kunecha kandu kulomalomi ega ndasu baluria kandu kunafunyasa kandu to revisit kose Nasao Wanjala juu
Nasa tunaapisha baba Nairobi na Wanjala anashinda huku kesi. Nasa kwa majina naitwa Ganga Nisemu wa Bumala, na mimi nimezindikiza na kusherehekea na rafiki yangu Wanjala katika ushindi wake. Watu wa Budalang'I na washukuru kwa kupeana nafasi kwa Raphael Wanjala.
Abanyala mahubiri kura da abandu be mayikura bari mu balimu bari mu banabi bari mu kachanga manu kuboro mundu bomunabi afunya mubuna kachanga afunya mubuna ukachanga sinobageri da baba sanya buru mundu mirimo ombungo fo munyalwina mwami Raphael Wanjala. Aya abanyala mwe musangare kabisa. Nyanga leo ni nyanga indai. Wanjala ahuirasi ababu olukhubiri. Siaborengari ni milele. Haro ni milele. Ni babe yangu Wanjala evere ikura. Momanyira ikura ebua. Ikura ebua Bunyala Central. Angeni yako lazina ni ebua. Kwa hivyo harefwe kwenye usabiru mwami Wanjala ngamaro malelu kendo lwae ife Bunyala kudaha maendeleo. Kudaka chalo si fusukule. Ubuya ngabwabera anonu buholwa harubu horesina bubuyere. Mani murio muno.
Aya Nasa ona bila ameng'ara mama ametembea no muningini ya kwefu. Situ muingiza kwa na makofi na shangwe hapo. Raila tibim Agwambo tibim Kinga tibim Ndotelala hapo.
Wanjala mwe. Mimi nashukuru sana. Leo mheshimiwa wetu mpendwa Mheshimiwa Raphael Wanjala Bita ambaye ni mtoto yangu amefanya nini? Walikuwa wanasema hajashinda, lakini leo judge mahakamani alitangaza peupe akasema amefanya nini? Na mama ambaye anaona mtoto wake ameshinda anafanya nini? Si anafurahi? Leo nimekuja hapa kusherehekea na Wanjala kwa sababu ya ushindi ya nani? Ya Raphael Wanjala. Na nawaambia hivi, mkono ya Raphael Wanjala ilikuwa imefungwa, hakuwa anaweza kufanya kazi, lakini sasa mkono ya Wanjala imefunguliwa.
Kwanza mbukula nafasi inoba hubiro rio muno ihongo kabisa. Hubira chikura omwaka kwa 2017 tarehe 8. Murio muno. Mwali mumalo hubaikura ne omundu achabusia astaka arengwezi mwa hubaikura are nabaganda ni abeta bahuba aragande sende bechikura. Handi muyalira na handi mumuhirada. Obuhiri no bwa Abanyala kose engwazire ngabagirire murio muno harasindu za kwenyo hola
ni sino mbwegarano abanyala harosa honesa paka emyaka 10 kwa nyasisie ebunyala nirendelea haro kwenye bunyala endele umunyala osiose sengorwa khubira ikura ngorwa ra khubira ikura esamanyire mbabanyala ba khubira sina ikura harole gocha mu masika nawe kabulori ewe ni ora khuba aho niyo kosera abantu beto abanyora bakhwime bindu bitsa ngando bolori bakosere ewe ari kuranga yabwa abulera mani voice ukendere sina adada aruo indu ino sibetanga siri da harewe kenda sa ukendra ala na umbagesya na manyire kitabu chefue kwanza sibitali sino nesa kutaka na sine timbosi hii hospital hii ndio tunataka nyorosha sasa mu Christmas banda nindareta bambora bare bitima bino byaduka street light ndari njitsana kandi byaduka bisisi mira paka lero byaduka da ai now ndaba bo rambo mu kubira ikura nani mwa kubira ndaba bo rambo mu kubira ikura idaraja inondo mbaga sasa mwa kubira ikura idaraja ya kwa yuma ndaba oranga mu mozi ko kubiringa kutaka nukubwa kunaba kubira idaraja ino
Sherehe kubwa na shangwe. Sisi tumekuja kusema congratulations Mheshimiwa Raphael Sauti Wanjala. Na tuwasema muleheho emwago muego tubana muliwao kiemu. Kuchire hulala, kuhorire hulala. Sasa amepata ushindi, itakuwa kwamba mtu hakujua vile ulipiga kura.
Kuwa ngangari ya kwamba tuna kiongozi wetu, lakini ule jamaa mwenye alipewa kupikia mabusu akae mpale, si ndio? Tunamwambia hivi, tunaelewana, aendelee kupikia mabusu pole pole, awache Wanjala chape kazi. Na saa hii mwenye Wanjala ameshashika kiti, mwishowe ni kujitukwa tanzi. Tunaelewana hivyo? Apotee na tupotee kabisa. Asanteni sana.
Alafu Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Asifiwe tena. Alafu tibim. Alafu tenana. Alafu ria. Alafu ria. Kana ndo musiri chonje. Muire. Ulivaluani. Tafa mabuofu ulivaluani. Enote makunda na valuani. Okende runyu na valuani. Ekate poti na valuani. Olidondae. Ocha mupungo olidondae. Olidondae. Enocha mupungo olidondae. Ana harafu ya kanachingira. Harafu diada. Ojana ndo. Harafu diada. Ojana ndo le. Baba fwanura ikofia. Ulinesi nani? Gawanjala alinesi nani? Esi nani sino mwemere nasi? Eruanyi myaka 10. Mumfunyise mubunge. Kubere sinani. Mwakubayikura. Abantu babola bari mwakubayikura. Jaja babolerari abantu be Musoma, abantu ba Maumau, abantu be Rugunga, abantu be Runyu, abantu be Rukada, abantu be Budwani, abantu be Madua, abantu be Buhuma, abantu bosieko, bose bakubira Wanjala. Na babolerari Wanjala iraikura esidere ngada. Haronga musumbuye Wanjala mutemu murunga milioni changa. Arese baba anja. Nderu lege baba anja. Lero lino dare here ke baru lino ne sinde kheraba. Kosela ofu. Haromba sabambe kwanya hane. Harona saya harusia. Nasa.